Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you happen to be around the world. And it is good morning for me because it is 2 a.m. here in Lisbon, where I just arrived a few hours ago from London. And I've been up for nearly 24 hours. So it's going to be a very tired Andrew. Please forgive me, but I will be ably helped out by the IAG managing editor, Ben Blashke. But before we do that, let's bring in, as always, our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro. Come on in, Oscar.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Oscar. And another scratchy start to IAG Live. What happened this time?
I don't know. The software we are using pop-up a message. The transmission got broken, and then I needed to kick it off again.
Okay, all right. Well, we seem to be always having these technical problems at the start with this new system. But anyway, we'll get there. And you are back at the office now from Spain.
Yeah. All good. Just trying to catch up.
Yeah, and actually, I was in Spain a few days ago in Barcelona, so myself, and then over to London for a few days. But I will talk about that during the actual discussion with Ben. And why don't we bring Ben in? Ben's in Sydney. Come on in, Ben Blashke, managing editor of IAG. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Andrew. You do look a bit tired this morning.
I told you I was going to be tired. I told you it was going to be a long day, but you know, the things we do for IAG, it is at least it's not 3 a.m. I thought it was going to be 3 a.m. and it's actually 2 a.m. I got my time zones wrong by an hour, so I've been up for 23 hours, not 24 hours. So I'm looking forward to wrapping up this IAG Live and then getting a little bit of shut-eye before I head to Boston tomorrow, of all places. So I've been on quite the jaunt. Yes. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm probably the only one who isn't exhausted at the moment. I'm sure Oscar's still got a bit of jet lag, so I've sort of recovered from my jet lag after our Barcelona trip the week before last.
Right. Well, Oscar, this is probably a normal time for you. Probably waking up early in the morning at the moment, are you? And getting tired early in the evening because you're more on European time than Asian time, right?
That's true.
All right. So, of course, you're in Macau. So it's later in the day for you. All right, Oscar. No worries. Let's get cracking on the news of the week. Thanks, Oscar. We'll see you next week. So, Ben, look, let's get straight into the news of the weekend. We've only picked out 9 stories this week that we think are worthy of talking about in depth. We'll start with this one from PAGCOR. This was quite a big story to do with the e-game sector, and people need to realize that this is a bricks and mortar story as well as an iGaming story, because this is very much GGR that the integrated resorts in Manila are getting, isn't it?
Yeah, this is, as you say, Andrew, this is a very, very important topic, very important issue in the Philippines at the moment, because it plays into PAGCOR's entire strategy, which is tightening their entire regulation of, they're doing a lot in the land-based sector, but at the moment they're very focused on the online sector. Of course, we saw the explosion in this online or e-game sector over the past few years. There's been a lot of discussion in the Philippines since the banning of POGOs as to what to do with the domestic online sector. PAGCOR's introduced a number of new regulations and are still in the process of doing so. And what they did late last week was issue their latest memo, which outlines key dates for all sorts of suppliers, aggregators, anybody in the industry need to meet to become licensed. Because what PAGCOR is doing at the moment is ensuring that not just operators are licensed, but all suppliers to the industry are licensed as well, which is a key change from the past.
Yes, I hear my microphone is really quite scratchy today for some reason. I don't know why. It's part of the connection here. So if need be, I may take my headphones off if it gets much worse. Yeah, perhaps Oscar, let me know. Anyway, yes, February 12, the operators need to let PAGCOR know who all their suppliers are by February 12, which is only 6 days from today. and then then PAGCOR will go to those suppliers and say, well, why aren't you accredited? If they're not accredited, and they'll have till 31st of March to get that accreditation. So basically, anybody being a supplier to the e-games industry in the Philippines will have to be accredited by 31st of March. And as you say, this is part of PAGCOR tightening up the industry so it does not go the way of the POGOs, tightening up the PIGO industry, so-called PIGO industry, the games industries in the Philippines. So this is part of Chairman Tenko's strategy to have it not go the way of POGOs.
Yeah, and we will be delving even further into this as well over the coming weeks. There's quite, I mean, it's quite a, what they're actually really doing deep down is quite interesting. So we'll be looking a little bit more in depth into a lot of that, because it's very important as to how this industry will evolve over the coming years.
Well, we're talking serious GGR here. We're talking, what, $2.5 billion US GGR. Half of the Philippines GGR now falls under this sector. So it's significant revenue for the integrated resorts and for companies like Casino Plus, Digi Plus, and so forth.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And all of these companies are required to be licensed, whether it's an aggregator like Light and Wonder, who were the first to receive a license under this new regime last year, or your Digi Pluses, your Casino Pluses, your games creators, everybody. So it's quite a revolution.
Yes, Light and Wonder iGaming doing their own little sort of one-day event on the Monday before IAG Expo in September last year to celebrate their accreditation as iGaming suppliers in the Philippines as the very first one. So that was interesting too. But yes, as you say, we're going to have a lot more on this. So we're going to have a lot more opinion and analysis on this and diving deeply into what PAGCOR are doing, because it was not that long ago, maybe 6 months ago, where everybody was fearful that the president of the Philippines was going to ban this in the same way as he banned POGOs. In fact, he decided not to. And perhaps he knew that these kind of regulations were coming in play, or perhaps Chairman Tenko responded to that by trying to protect the industry by making it sustainable. So he's doing things which are reducing the amount of GGR, but making it sustainable, a sustainable industry for the future, hopefully. And that could eventually be a model for other jurisdictions too in Asia.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the interesting thing is, we wrote a cover story in our February issue about what New Zealand is doing, and I guess they're the two jurisdictions in Asia Pacific that are, I mean, PAGCOR's already well into this process of having a complete suite of online gaming products available. New Zealand is the latest to do that, but there aren't too many others. So, these can be seen as test cases really for the region.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next story, Oscar. Yeah, so I thought we'd pull this one out. I did mention last week about my time at Wynn Al Marjan Island about a week or two ago now. We got this nice picture here. This is a real picture, not a rendering. This is kind of what it actually looks like, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, Wynn sent this information out earlier in the week. Another update on the rapid progress they're making. They do seem to be powering along, Andrew. I mean, you've visited a few times and seen the progress in person, but certainly, just here is this bridge that they're building, connecting Wynn Al Marjan Island to some of the highways that go down to Dubai and other places, Abu Dhabi. So, just the infrastructure is starting to take shape, and all ahead of the planned 2027 opening.
Look, I can attest that this is exactly what it looks like. It is pretty much, if you go back to that other picture, Oscar, the first one, you can see that the sort of traditional brown Wynn colouring is up the tower almost to the top. You can see at the very top there, they haven't quite got it on yet. That's exactly what it looks like. And I'm sure they've topped out the building, that's done, but now they've got to put that brown sort of cladding or whatever the mirrors or the window, whatever they call it, on the outside, and then finish off the interior, and then obviously all the stuff around the podium and the exteriors of the ground level of all the gardening and the landscaping and so forth has to be done as well. So they've got about 14 months or so, 15 months or so to get all that done. And look, they are powering on. They're working around the clock 24/7 go. I met with Max Tapper, the property president, while I was there, and he was telling me about their progress so far. Very, very interesting. And I think it's going to be a great market when it opens, and I think they're going to get a monopoly for quite some time. I know there's been talk of properties in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but I think they're a long way off. So it's going to be a great property. And yes, I also went to Wynn Mayfair in London, which is being run under the auspices of Wynn Al Marjan as well. I was there. Wow, just yesterday. Yeah, it was only yesterday, and I got a tour of Wynn Mayfair in Mayfair. Obviously, the former Aspinall's, the one that was purchased from Crown, and we covered that story when that happened at the time, and they've made a few changes there. And Chris Block is there actually. Some people would know Chris Block from previous ventures. He's the general manager, and another very nice lady by the name of Amanda Gregg showed me around. And that's a unique property too, and a great opportunity for them to learn a bit about the sort of the Arab market, I guess you would say, because they are traditionally players that will go to London to play and play mainly roulette. They play in London, so, and there's not many of those clubs left in London. A lot of them have closed, so there's really just them. Les Ambassadeurs, really, those two are the only two very high end ones. There's one or two that are a bit lower. So interesting times for Wynn. And I should mention the bridge that they're building, just in case people are wondering, people who don't know. What is it, out on an island and you can't get there and you need to build a bridge to get there? No, you can get there. But what happens at the moment is you go up the highway from Dubai, and there are three highways actually. There's one right on the coast, there's one inland a little bit, and there's one inland a little bit more. And they're all just absolutely super duper kind of, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lanes each way, highways where you could fly up there in your Lamborghini and at a bazillion miles an hour. And then what happens is when you get to level with Al Marjan, you turn left, go to the coast. If you haven't come up the coastal highway, you hit the coast, and you've actually got to go back a little bit. You've actually got to go back a little bit and around to get to Al Marjan, and then back up again. Is currently the way to do it. And what they're doing is building the bridge so that you just go straight across. So it'll cut about 5 minutes off the journey, and it'll make it a simpler journey too. And I think I said this last week or the week before. Don't think that Ras Al Khaimah is doomed once a casino or an integrated resort opens in Dubai, because look, it could be just as easy to get to RAK as it could be to get to the casino in Dubai, given the traffic in Dubai, which is pretty bad. So, for example, if it were in Atlantis, it can take 50 minutes to get from the airport to Atlantis, just like it takes 50 minutes to get from the airport to RAK. So, I think Wynn Al Marjan, they're onto a winner there. All right, let's look at the next one, Oscar. Yes, Ben, you can talk about this. Our first Mad Macau for the year.
Yeah, so looking forward to this event, Andrew. First time we've had an event at Altira. Not the first time I've had an event at a Melco property, but certainly first time at Altira. For those who don't know, Altira was Melco Crown back in the day. Melco Crown's first property in Macau, located there in Taipa. Lovely property, lovely venue, Aurora. Great little sort of Italian steak seafood restaurant. It's got a beautiful deck outside, which we chose April quite deliberately too, so that we could take advantage of the better weather at that time of year to the deck. Melco are very keen for us to hold this event here at Aurora, because they do see this as a bit of a hidden gem in Macau, Aurora. It's a great little venue, so hopefully we get a chance to really showcase what this place has to offer as well. People will be able to sit out there on the deck, views of Macau, enjoy some fine food and drinks, and hopefully have a really good time.
Look, Aurora's a fantastic restaurant. It's been there for a very long time, but a lot of people don't really sort of think of it, or it's not front of mind to a lot of people. And it is very accessible, very nice restaurant, good food, as you say, the outdoor area. More people should go to it. So it's great that we're doing the Mad there, and so we'll see you there April April 21 for the first Mad Macau. The first Mad Manila will be April 14, the week before, but we haven't actually announced that venue yet. We're imminently about to announce that venue. And I see Scott Messenger there has thrown a couple of comments up there. The views are amazing, which indeed they are, not to mention the pizza. Can't remember the pizza, but Scott says it's amazing. I'm sure it is.
Well,
Scott,
I must
of course,
say
used
that
to work for Melto.
Yeah, I must say that Aladad has regularly mentioned the pizza at Aurora to me. He promised to shout me a pizza next time I'm there, so I will take him up on that one.
All right, do that. Okay, all right, next one, Oscar. Yes, you can have a chat about it. You were all over this, Ben.
Yeah, this was an interesting one. So MGM Resorts were due to release their quarter 25 results and full year 25 results this time next week, in 1 week's time. However, a little over 24 hours ago, they released their Bet MGM results, and someone accidentally pasted the full MGM Resorts results below that. So they were released a little bit earlier than had originally been planned. MGM acknowledged that in a number of filings and quickly changed their full results release and earnings call to this morning, Asia time. So that all came out a little bit earlier than planned. Someone might get a little slap on the wrist over that one, I assume, Andrew. But either way,
more than a slap.
Yes, exactly. Either way, though, I mean, look, it's just another stunning quarter for MGM China, another record quarter. They keep doing it quarter after quarter. It's been a super impressive year for that company.
They sure do. And Oscar, here's an instruction without notice. Maybe you could go to Complete iGaming's homepage and scroll down. You'll find the Bet MGM results. So that's what Ben, I think you cut out a little bit there as you were explaining that it was actually the Bet MGM, the online gaming for MGM resorts. I think it's somewhere around there. Bet MGM's results. There it is. A pretty tremendous year for Bet MGM, execs say. So, oh, hello. Is that a different title there to what it is on the homepage, or did you click on a different story? Might be a different title on the and the homepage than it is. That's a bit odd, or maybe there's a different story. But anyway, that was the oh, there it is, right? Yeah, so Oscar, just scroll up. Yeah, the one about it is 2 stories. Yeah, that one. Click on the yes. So yeah, BetMGM had really good results, but as you say, Ben, they accidentally put the bricks and mortar results down the bottom of the BetMGM. Wasn't due out for another week, so we got the results. So anyone who wants to follow the iGaming industry, of course, in Asia Pacific or in the Americas, Complete iGaming is our iGaming media brand that covers that. Okay, Oscar, back to our story on IAG. Yeah, okay, putting aside the inadvertent early release, let's talk us through the numbers a little bit here, Ben. As you say, MGM just killing it again.
Yeah, I mean, look at another 21% year-on-year increase in total revenue across the Macau properties. EBITDA, I believe, was up even more to around, off the top of my head, around about 350 million-ish in that range. It's described as another record quarter. Mass gaming again proving very strong for MGM. Yeah, just ongoing strong performance and some commentary. I'm not sure if we're going on to more stories from MGM shortly, Andrew, but some commentary this morning from Kenny Feng, good friend of IAG, CEO of MGM China, around things looking strong heading into Chinese New Year as well. So certainly maintaining that momentum they've displayed over the past 18 months.
Yeah, they've done very well, and that's due to a big team effort there at MGM China, and they continue to impress. So let's keep our eyes on them, especially for a property that is relatively small compared to the others, with only a relatively small room inventory. They are hamstrung in a few ways, so they're really punching above their weight. So well done to MGM. Okay, next one, Oscar. Yes, PhilWeb. So we had this story, a few weeks ago about PhilWeb being the B2B provider to Hann for their online gaming. This is exactly what we were talking about before with Chairman Tenko, right? So Hann has an online gaming business, and they've contracted the building and of that platform out to PhilWeb, which traditionally is actually known for something different. It's traditionally known for the their sort of e-games retail outlets, but they're now becoming a B2B provider. Tell us some more about this, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, Andrew, this ties in exactly to the PAGCOR story that we were talking about earlier. Pretty much every integrated resort in the Philippines either has launched or is launching an online gaming arm. I mean, this is sort of basically approved by PAGCOR as a supplement to the land-based revenues, particularly with.
I'm just going to interrupt you, barring COD for some reasons.
Yes. Well, we know what those are. But yes, so most companies have launched. Of course, Solaire has launched a couple of brands over the past year or so. Most of them have. So Hann is the latest. Officially launched the site this week, and as you say, PhilWeb is behind all of that. And I mean, it's such a strong area of growth, the licensed online segment in the Philippines, that you're missing out if you're not part of it, really.
Yeah, and I think they're still getting it right. Whenever there's a new industry or a new sector to the industry, it takes a few years to just sort of settle down and get it right and make a few mistakes, learn from those mistakes, improve, and get it into a sustainable, ongoing kind of a nature, I guess you would say. So they're still doing that in the Philippines and getting it settled down, but it looks like that they've got the government support while they do that. So we're going to see lots of chopping and changing on this sort of online gaming industry, PGO industry in the Philippines in the next year or two while it settles down. And good luck to Hann with another revenue stream for them.
Yep, that's right. It's been a busy time for Hann too, with the expansion of their current property and Hann Reserve close to launching as well.
And Rod Hackman coming on there, and after the retirement of Dennis Andriachi on December 31st, last year, I should say.
Yep, that's right.
Yes, our very own Chief of Staff Scott Messenger met with Rod Hackman last week as well. So, and I'll definitely get up there in mid-April, probably after the MAD. I might jump in a car and go up and see Rod up at Hann after the April 14 MAD in the Philippines. All right, next story, Oscar. I have not even read this story because it came out this morning, but I do know that we were talking about asking Piers to do this. So Ben, you take us through. I mean, everybody came out and said, "Hey, Uber's in Macau," but this is the first story, maybe analysing it a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, this is a really great story by Piers. Really delves deeply into the whats and the whys and the hows of Uber in Macau. So obviously, we reported earlier in the week that Uber was back in Macau for the first time in almost a little under a decade. So this is sort of related to the government in Macau, sort of suggesting that they're looking at introducing ride hailing and new forms of transport around the city. However, it's not a traditional Uber that we've got in Macau at the moment. For most of us that are in Australia or the US or wherever else we use Uber around the world, where you book an app and you jump in the car and you know how much you've paid. No. This is a little bit different in Macau. The law still designates that it must be metered, so you still must have a metered ride. A lot of the Uber, I believe, a lot of the Uber riders in Macau will still be actually in taxis potentially at this stage. And there's also even questions around whether Uber can make any profit at this particular moment based on the current regulations. So it looks like they're really jumping in early to get early mover status and build their brand in Macau ahead of revised regulations in the future that allow them to revert to perhaps a more traditional Uber style of operating.
Well, this is a very Uber thing to do. I mean, they jumped in 9 years ago. That was basically completely grey market. I mean, it really wasn't legal under the rules in Macau. And Macau's got a big problem. There's I've talked about this a lot in the past, in years gone by. Not enough taxis, too many people wanting taxis. So there's the relationship between supply and demand. I've done some analysis on this, and it's 10x the ratio of demand to supply is 10x what it is in Hong Kong, and even more compared to some other markets around the world. So there just is not enough taxis in Macau given the 100,000 tourists we get every single day coming to Macau. And then what that leads to is, of course, price gouging and all sorts of bad behavior by taxi drivers. So rogue taxi drivers, as they're always called in the media. And I always see that and think, oh, rouge taxi drivers. But this is a real problem in Macau, and it's bad for Macau's brand. And people can't get around, and they come to Macau and they have a terrible experience with the taxi, and they go back home and say, never again, I'm not going to go there. So this is a huge problem for Macau, and everyone acknowledges it. Everybody in Macau acknowledges it. The operators acknowledge it. The government acknowledges it. But do they do anything about it? So not really much has been done about it over the years. Some has been. There were some improvements a few years ago. They got the radio taxis. But then again, some of them their licenses have run out now, and not necessarily been replaced. And there is some talk, as you say, of ride hailing, which is not really the right term for it, but that's what we seem to call it. And Uber's just jumping in and trying to do something to get their name in town. So what happened? Did Pierce actually try to catch an Uber? I know he tried to catch an Uber and he couldn't.
Pierce tried to catch one on the morning of after this announcement by Uber, and there were none available. But of course, they're just entering the market. He did say he was successful in hailing one in the afternoon, I believe, later in the day. I mean, I'm interested to know how many drivers Uber has on its books in Macau and exactly how that's working at the moment. I mean, that's again, I think there's further to look into this in the future. But I mean, what Pierce has really done here is sort of explain the legal situation, explain what the Ubers in Macau can and cannot do. So that's quite interesting in terms of the detail he puts into that. As you say, Andrew, I mean, I think anybody, you were talking about the supply issue. I think anybody that's tried to catch a taxi in Macau at 5 p.m. on a Friday has had that problem. And not to mention
not to mention 5 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
And service quality too, as you say, it's not always the greatest experience either. And I guess competition is a great way to improve that.
Yeah, so I guess this story answers, because I remember I asked Pierce, I said, well, how can Uber come in if the government are only just talking about legalizing ride hailing? They haven't actually done it yet. And I guess this article, which I must confess I haven't had a chance to read yet, you just got it out this morning. This article answers that, does it?
It does.
Right. So then there'll be further research he'll do. We'll get Pierce onto this. There'll be further research he'll do on the practicalities of how Uber is operating and the price as well. The price seems to be, I've been seeing screenshots of people with like $20 or 20 mop fares, but Uber's quoting 60 mop. How can that be? And if it claims to be using the metered price, which it has to. We've got questions like that, which we will answer in further stories. All right, let's move on here. Yes, I've got some messages from Scott there. Scott's a big fan of the bus system in Macau. I have to confess, I've never caught a bus in Macau. And there's quite a few comments there. The canyon at Hann. Yes, we were mentioning Hann before. The canyon's a new area at Hann, which is quite good. And I see there, Oscar, you had them. I was going through the messages there. Oscar, you've taken them down. He messaged that all the restaurants there at Altira are winners. All right, on to the next one, Oscar. So you were talking about the commentary from MGM, Ben. Well, here you go.
So, I mean, as I said, they accidentally released their results a little bit early, but then they released them fully this morning with a little bit more detail to them, which showed that MGM COTAI was, really the quality performer for MGM in the fourth quarter, up 34% year on year. MGM Macau, from memory, was up more around 4%. So really the COTAI property performing very well. And then a little bit of colour provided by the MGM management team. So they were looking ahead to Chinese New Year. Kenny was talking about the fact that bookings looking very, very strong at this stage. And also a little bit of commentary from Jonathan Halkett, who is the CFO of MGM Resorts, talking a little bit about the new branding fee deal that was done between the parent MGM Resorts and with MGM China late last year, which basically doubled the fee that MGM China pays each year on revenues, but also provides a little bit more certainty around the branding. It's a long-term deal that will last until the end of the current concession and will auto-renew, assuming MGM's concession is renewed, which you would think it would be.
Well, maybe MGM China's got more of a capacity to pay than it used to have.
Yes, no doubt.
Is that the last one, Oscar? No, we have. Oh, I forgot about this. You can talk about this, Ben, since I did it.
Well, Andrew, we our good friends down at Crown are bringing back the Aussie Millions. For those who don't
awesome.
know, poker fans, the Aussie Millions is for many years has been one of the preeminent poker series in the world. Looking back a decade or so, it was probably one of 3 or 4 tournaments worldwide with a $10,000 buy-in that was seen as a almost like one of the golf's majors in a way. One of those trophies that you sort of really have to win each year. That you go, it's just a great event held in January traditionally in Melbourne. Australian Open tennis is on at the same time. Weather's nice and warm, and this wonderful poker series down at Crown. Now, COVID got in the way. A few regulatory issues got in the way as well. So the Aussie Millions has been on a bit of a hiatus since 2020, Andrew, but it's coming back in April, May for the first time in 6 years. So you caught up, of course, with Joe Hachem, the most famous poker player in Australia, 2005 World Series of Poker main event champion, and Aussie Millions 2026 ambassador, just to have a bit of a chat about all things Aussie Millions, Andrew, and it looked like you had a nice little catch-up.
We did. We hadn't seen each other for a long time. And Joe and I used to play poker in the Crown Poker Room 30 years ago, 25 to 30 years ago. So we've known each other a long time, and it hasn't been that long since we've spoken, but it was great to catch up with him, and maybe a decade. Joe used to come up to Asia to play all the APT and APPT events when that was first sort of around, and I'd often catch up with Joe there. And it was great to chat with him, and he was his usual laconic self. And it was a great little interview, actually. So 16-minute interview. We talked about a few quite interesting things. So if you are a poker fan, please do catch the interview, and please do go to the Aussie Millions. It's going to be a great event. It's always been a great event, the Aussie Millions. Late April, I think April 24 to May 10, 2026. Well worth attending. And there'll be a 10K, of course, 10K main event. And I think 17 other events. I think 18 event series, has it been?
Yeah, 18 events, Andrew. As you say, I recommend anybody that hasn't been to the Aussie Millions get down there. It's a great series. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot to do around the series. Not only great tournaments with great structures, but Crown Melbourne's gone through its own refreshment recently. Definitely worth checking out the restaurants, the entertainment, the river walk just outside Crown. There's a lovely spot to sit and have a beer, have a drink, and plenty else to do around Melbourne as well. So if you haven't been down there before, definitely get down there and experience it.
Well, Crown, under new owners, well, not so new these days, Blackstone are rolling out a refurbishment campaign. You've got the Kolkata Cricket Club, Modern Indian, that you and I have had a meal at, Ben. Where you've got, what's the California kind of pizza kind of kitchen-y place? The names just escaped me. I should have researched that before I came on. But there's what's it called? Marmont. That's it. New F&B outlet there, and they're doing quite a few other things as well. They've refurbished the floor, moved the floor around a bit, and the poker's no longer in the basement. They've now moved that up to the first floor. Got quite a nice poker room there, and it's Crown are back. Crown Melbourne particularly are back, and they're doing well. And this is just going to put them back on the map again, because as somebody said to me the other day, Aussie Millions is probably a stronger brand around the world than Crown Melbourne. It's probably a more well-known brand, since it was such a major poker event back in the day. It was one of what just maybe a very small handful of, World Series, maybe PokerStars Caribbean Adventure, Aussie Millions, WBT Europe, and that's probably about it, wasn't it? Of back in the day of 10 major 10K events.
Even the 5 Diamond, I think, was 5K from memory, so it wasn't even 10K, although it was prestigious. So, which Joe also won in 2006, so I should point out as well. So yeah, so as you say, probably one of 4 major 10K events globally at that time.
Yeah, so it has got such a great reputation for being around for so long, and they do treat very well down there in Crown Melbourne. The poker, it's always been my favourite poker room around the world, not just in Australia, but in anywhere in the world. It's always been a lot of fun playing poker in Melbourne. Lots of tables, great surroundings, plenty of to do in the resort. Poker treated like a real important part of the resort rather than an afterthought. Good staff, just a great offering there in Crown. So yeah, we'd encourage anybody to get down there and book their tickets and go down and check out the Aussie Millions. First time in 6 years, so great opportunity for people who have never been to an Aussie Millions. So that was fun to do with Joe, and we'll do a few more stories about Aussie Millions between now and then. I think it's very important to highlight something good coming out of Australia, and this is certainly good. And it's a way that Crown are starting to rebuild after the the issues we've all been talking about for the past X number of years. Let's stop talking about those and start talking about something positive, which is great. Now, is that the last story, Oscar? I think that might be, because that was just this morning, wasn't it? Oh, no, another one. Oh, more MGM. There you go, Ben. You can you listened to the thing this morning, so the earnings call. So over to you.
I mean, this is really what we spoke of earlier, Andrew, which is MGM talking about strong bookings ahead of Chinese New Year. Of course, we're just a little over a week away from Chinese New Year Golden Week kicking off. Busy time of year, probably the busiest time of year in Macau for the operators. So that's really important for the annual revenues, but things are looking pretty good. Yeah, and then just I mentioned the branding deal that was done late last year between MGM China and its parent MGM Resorts. So all that was sort of addressed throughout this story by doing the call this morning, which, as I said, was a week earlier than it was supposed to be.
Yep. So Bill Hornbuckle and Kenny would have had to scramble to be ready, but looks like they've done a good job in being ready, and now their focus turns to the next quarter. So well done to MGM China. Okay, now I really think that probably is it. Any more, Oscar? Or are we done? Looks like we are done. Oh, good. I can get to bed. Get some rest. So thanks, Ben, for helping out. And thank you to everybody for following IAG. Apologies, I was a little tired, but we got through it. And we'll see you next Friday for IAG Live again, by which time I will be in the US somewhere. And Ben, you'll be in Sydney. When's your next travel, Ben?
To be determined, Andrew. We need to discuss some ideas, some things that have changed over the past 24 hours.
Yes, that's right. That's a trip that's not going to happen. But you'll certainly be at G2E at the very worst. The very latest, you'll be at G2E Asia in May, of course, and IAG once again will be lead media partner for that, and we'll be running our traditional industry party on May the 13th. That's always a huge party. That one, everyone loves it, and everyone's in town for G2E, and it's sort of the number one networking social event, industry networking event for G2E Asia. So mark that in your diary, Wednesday, 13th of May, and it always sells out. So make sure you get a ticket. You need a 3-digit numbered ticket to get to that one. It's not like a MAD. It's much more strictly controlled. So make sure you get yourself a ticket via one of the sponsors.
Yes, well, I'll be there, Andrew. So I hopefully don't need a sponsor's ticket.
You'll be there as one of the hardworking IAG team, Ben, as will I. Yes. All right, that's it from us. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. See ya.